Much everybody for coming out on this rainy, cold Sunday afternoon to be with poets and musicians together with each other. I wanted to welcome you along with the poets, Felice, Belle, Travis Montez, Katie Ann Turner, musicians, Irwin, Olli, Hirvonen, and Bill Campbell, and thank you for the lovely music that you have been already serenading us with. So the artists, I know that a number of the artists are here. Nina is back there. Raise your hand if you want to speak with her later. Susan Newmark is over here. Susan did these pieces. Nina did the wonderful table there, and A.V. Ryan and Linnea Tillett did the installation that is around the corner that you should see on your way out. You'll be able to see it from the outside. So, in thinking about this, I realized that I was holding this gathering like a candle as we move into this darkest month and as we prepare ourselves for the returning sun and the next year in a world of great beauty and difficulty. And I can't think of a better person to start this off than Felice, Belle. Without Felice, I'm not sure we would all be here, because it was she who went. I called her up and I said, "Would you do this?" And she said yes. She also brought with her Travis and Katie to join us. So she's been a very important part of this. And personally, she's given me, as an emerging poet, the confidence to confront my own doubts and to be a poet here with all of you. So thank you, Felice. I could say much about you as a kindred spirit. I would say, Felice helps bring people together in both her words and her actions. She's been doing that for decades as a poet and a playwright, performing at the Apollo Theater, Joe's Pub, Ted Women. She does that in her debut poetry collection, Viscera, which, if you'd like to get a copy, you can speak with her about at the end. She does that at Narrative 4, which is a unique global storytelling nonprofit, as their director of their artist network, and with her poetry students at St. Francis College. Felice embraces the multiplicity of human life with clear eyes, an incisive voice, and a smile that encourage us all to bravely speak our souls. Please welcome Felice, Belle.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to read a few poems from the book. That was maybe the best introduction I've ever received. It was so lovely. I was like, is that me?
Yes.
I also started having a coughing fit as soon as you started talking about it. I didn't know what that means. So I'm going to start with a poem appropriately titled, You Are Here. You are here. Here is the hole in your bathroom ceiling roof water rains through. Here is the Rubik's Cube man you cannot resolve. Here is your rented hatchback economy, Thunder Road on repeat, doing 85 on the Garden State. Here is your last date. Here are the shoes, dress, Spanx you will wear to your best friend's wedding, then never again. Here is where you think you could be a vegetarian. Here is your first love, calling from Texas, hauling fuel down an 8-lane highway. Here is the text you sent like a 12-year-old because you're still too scared to say. Here is the phone call you should have made. Here is your heart whole, first time since first love. Here is the one you were trying to forget when you sent the text to the one who can commit to everything except you. Here's what you learned about truth. Claim you want more, and she will make you kneel with reverence. Here you are, looking for parking when you no longer have a car. Here's what Freud has to say. The hole in the ceiling is a metaphor for your repressed trauma. Here is the space you filled with myth made real because you believe. Here is God giving do-overs. Here is your hard pack of cigarettes. Say a prayer over your part in things and lay the past to rest. Here is the order of events. Here is an alternate theory of the crime. Here is the gap between signifier and signified. Here is a sign. It doesn't end here. I want to let you all know poetry rules. If you clap after one poem, you have to clap after all of them. Or else poets feel away, like, oh, they didn't like that poem as much as the other one. Just so you know. Now you're in it all night. All right. So I'm a big fan of Law & Order. So much so that I think I am a detective. And my best friend is actually a licensed private investigator. She resents the fact that I feel like I'm as talented as she is when it comes to solving crimes. And so this is my Law & Order poem. It's called The Following Does Not Depict Any Actual Person or Event. When the detectives come to question you, keep gardening, lifting boxes, cleaning the gills off the fish. New Yorkers can't stop moving. You need to pick up your kids. You wish you could be of more help, but you're late for the airport class. If there's cash on the body, it's not a robbery. Every suspect has means, motive, and opportunity. The evidence speaks. The president of the Abstinence Club could be the rapist. They recycle storylines. It's not the first time the killer is an adult pretending to be a high school student. Trust your gut. A patriot can be turned. We can't all be good. It's the third law of physics. Equal and opposite. Can't have the high without the low. If it feels personal, you're too close to the case. So I'm also a big Prince fan. Rest in peace. And he shows up in this book 3 times at magical moments. But this poem is the last Prince poem in the book. It's called The Day Prince Died. It is written in the style of Frank O'Hara's The Day Lady Day Died. Cell phone on silent in my desk, 1:15 p.m., 24 new texts. Friends I haven't seen since the 90s. Call from overseas. Send condolences like I lost a blood relative. Didn't we though? Quote lyrics like gospel, verse for every occasion. New Year's in Spain, rejected again. Bad decision circa 2:45 a.m. Backseat on the FDR, 3 martinis in. Sometimes I'd imagine you as a cashier at Duane Reade, with headscarf and attitude ringing up toiletries. Patron saint of all freaks, you are deja vu divine. Sign I was where I was meant to be. All-star weekend in Vegas. Flight delayed, luggage lost, bought new dress and drawers at Macy's in the mall. Outside the hotel, no cabs available. Me and my homegirl hop in a limo with 2 dudes we don't know. Say we're Wendy and Lisa. They don't get the joke. Drop us off at the Rio. Room so small, every seat is front row. Mike Phillips on saxophone and your falsetto serving life. Fully realized, genius personified. So my friend Bossy referred to this book as a time machine, which I thought was one of the most lovely descriptions of it. So it begins and ends in the pandemic, and then everything in between is like a lot of love, lost, New York City memory. But this is the last poem in the book. It's called We Are Left with What Survives. Wake up, pray, meditate, shower, hair, brush teeth, coffee, sit at desk, talk to screen till 6:30. Cook dinner, watch TV, take out trash, sleep, repeat. Wake, pray, meditate, new day, same day, slight change, green tea, oatmeal, eyeliner, lip lined, feel alive. Try not to play death and devastation mix. What comes up for you in the silence? New variant, no plans, call friends every night, an empty folder, nothing to report, reminisce, perfect days, the one with Ray LaMontagne, Bushwick rooftop, Jones Beach birthday, phone sex, lunch break, pray. Remember things you don't. How will you structure your time today? Drink, smoke, scroll, let the destruction be intentional. Need routine, long for a commute. Costume is no substitute for character. Broccoli chips with ranch dip, a balanced meal. Watch your intake. The death and devastation diet is killing you. Why self-flagellate? The world is sadist enough. Suffering is just change we resist. New playlist. You were born for such a time as this. If the pen doesn't write, discard it. Thank you all. And I have one last poem that is not in the book. And I remember when I would go to readings and I'd be like, why are poetry and stuff that's not in the book? I'm here for the book. And then, like, the book, you send in the manuscript and it doesn't come out till years later. So you got all these new poems. So that's what happens, I learned. So a little bit about this poem. A friend of mine, Chase, he's a musician. Chase Alodia, he's actually an amazing musician based in Brooklyn. And during the pandemic, he reached out and he was commissioning poets to write about their neighborhoods. And I'd never written anything about my neighborhood, even though I've lived there for 10 years. And so I wrote this for this project, and he created a song for the poem. You're not gonna get the song today, but you'll get the poem. Ode to Prospect Lefferts Gardens and my bodega guy. It's called K&N Open 24/7. My guy Amir shouts, "My queen," every time I walk in. I want this level of fanfare everywhere I go. My parents left Brooklyn with 2 baby boys because bullets flew through their first floor window in the building next to the one I now live in. What matters is how you remember it. They don't understand why I moved back to the block they left years past. I don't see anyone except my elderly neighbor and his dog outside every day around 5. Throw out trash, talk news, shake head. Weeks pass from should be over soon to when will it end? Dad says the neighborhood hasn't changed, pharmacy's still there. Mom says, High Rise on Linden says I'll be priced out in 2 years. Mom says there was no bullet. What matters is neighborhood kids playing handball on how you remember the wall outside their first floor flat. It was a ball that flew through years past. Maybe months since I'd seen my guy. I work days now, he tells me. I only leave the house at night. We chop it up through new strains and plexiglass. I am afraid of everything. He says, Allah is my mask. I want that level of faith everywhere I go. You are such an amazing audience. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming out on this rainy Sunday. I was telling Travis, if I wasn't in the show, I'd be in my bed. I would leave the house in the rain. So I really appreciate all of you coming. So it is my pleasure to introduce the next poet.
Let's give a hand to Felice.
Yeah. I'm going to give you the official bio, and then I'm going to tell you a few things about Travis. That's right. So the next up is Travis Montez, juvenile rights attorney / poet, because you meet those every day. Travis Montez is the author of 9 collections of poetry. His latest work, Peaches, Honey, Whiskey, is available now. He also hosts the Objects in This Rearview podcast, available on all platforms, wherever you get your podcasts. Rate and review. So I had known Travis for over half my life. We met at the New Rican Poets Cafe in the 90s. And I instantly fell in love with his writing because he writes with so much heart. And so I'm excited to be able to introduce him to you, this audience. Please welcome Travis Montez.
So when Felice asked me to do this. She didn't tell me I would be reading after her. Be kind. I consider myself a love poet, so we're gonna get some love poems tonight. Most of these are about someone that I'm no longer with, but the love is still there. This poem is called Detours. The shortest distance between two hearts is the truth, and love the only road. Perhaps I also owe you an ending. The absence of pain can hurt. Joy stings when it is unfamiliar. You were unfamiliar. I did not know how to reach you, could not trust always the bridge of your open arms. I tried the long way around, but that was just distance. There's no way to be loved without coming close and being seen. I did not want you to see me. I used to sew myself up with the ends of other people, but stitches made of pain shake loose so easily. The worst wounds remained open and jagged. I did not want you to see. I wanted to hide, that I am not hurtless, that I refuse to walk the distance between dealing and healing. I took the long way. I took a long time to cross into you with an honesty tight enough to close wounds and leave scars that are bridges and also wings. This poem is called Help. The rain whispering in the early morning hush through the leaves is sweet enough. But still I trace the delicate lines of your sleeping face with my eyes and then with the very tips of my fingers. You are soft and close and painfully beautiful even in this light. There's a garden right outside your window. The flowers there emerge from the silver haze of night and remember slowly that they are pinks and not quite purples. As their colors wake, it is an exquisite bloom of gold and lavender that almost stops my heart. I want to tell you about it. I want to give you this perfect becoming because it reminds me of you and us. But I do not wake you. Instead, I hold the moment, grab it with my mind, and tuck it deep between my ribs and my heart to keep it safe, to hold it with my very breath. Then I fold myself into you, match for a moment the rise and fall of your chest with the tide of my own. The rain is still singing through those trees just as day comes. I slip under, fall asleep by your side, intent on finding you in our dreams to tell you about the music of rain at dawn, the return of colors, and the sweetness of your sleeping face. To press a prayer into your skin, to give you the gift I carry between my ribs and my heart, and say, here, love, I held this breath for you. This poem is called Passion Rushes In. Hi. These are my really good friends. It is spring and you are not mine anymore. Winter lingers like a kiss, but there is warmth now too. And the promise of buds cracking under the tight weight of their own safety, the withheld and protected suddenly blossoming and blooming without you hurts. Reaching for the sun without you hurts. Growing again after years of comfortable hunger hurts, but there is honey now too. In the air, the sweet fragrance of release, the ecstasy of expanding into all the places letting go leaves behind after a season of denial. Passion finally rushes in and sings. This is called Gods for a Summer. We were gods for a summer, purified by the worship of lust. Ours was a love that was also a war, and we were warriors, worthy of being remembered in the stars. We poured universes into each other, made a religion of ourselves that was more fire than prayer, so we burned our temples to the ground, left an altar in the ruins, silver among ash, but star-written still. I think of you most on summer nights when the sky is clear and the heat dances across my skin like memory. We are men who weren't allowed to be boys long, so joy is our religion. We chase happiness, squeeze it from the tiniest thing, and in between those joys, we are sad without being malicious. We love honestly and perhaps too freely, even though we know better than most what people are capable of. Sometimes we think the only thing we can't survive is ourselves, so we love each other from imagination and with clarity. We have always seen each other and requested nothing. That's what makes the moments we give ourselves. Easy, honest hugs, random texts to say I miss you, and once a kiss goodbye on the F train during a summer shower that tasted like whiskey and rain. These slivers of peace, these few slices we allow ourselves to be completely human, well, I can live off them on those hard days. Happiness is still a chase. This is called I Wish I'd Kept Your Love Letters. I still cry a little when I listen to that one record by Tori Amos where she goes, when you gonna make up your mind? When you gonna finally decide to love you as much as I do? And I wish I'd kept your love letters. Because maybe we were the last generation of lovers to write them. Because I recognized too late how thoroughly you've forgotten me and extinguished how we burned when we were young and brave. Because maybe I envy your quiet, comfortable life and the man you've become to live it. Because I know the universes you had to cross to leave behind the reckless boy who used to kiss me and write pages-long love letters about my beauty and how it made you hurt beautifully and touch yourself beneath North Carolina stars. And even if that you is erased, I hope us taught you something about love. I hope some part of you still wonders what I finally decided and remembers winter nights by the lake in your mom's car that felt like summer. You guys are nice. He grew up on a block where fathers are like bedtime stories. So I hope you understand what I mean when I say he was a poem before he was a man, and I fell in love reading the revisions. Manhood is not promised. There is no map, and it requires more unlearning than learning. So many of us get caught up or lost trying to find a place where we can be loved without risking hurt, a place where we can bury any and all softness. We learn too late that joy is a softness. I was just starting to excavate my own heart when I met him, this rough draft of a poem becoming a man he did not know he was writing, a song, but the first time I met him, I saw melody and could not wait for the lyrics. If I'd suspected sooner that so much of my life could be unburied by his softness, or that he would touch and smile and hold and listen and laugh, genuine laugh his way into my own, I probably would have run, but his laughter kept me. Joy is a softness. One of our jokes is that most of our years together have been me watching him sleep like my presence is a lullaby, a familiar melody that quiets the world's inside and out. We became men, bearing witness to each other's scars, and the miracle that for each of us, all those cracks let more joy in than out. We became men softly in our own arms. One more. This is the last poem of Peaches Honey Whiskey. Maybe I'm not poet enough yet to describe this. Maybe the shape of the feeling you give me defies words, or maybe the words mean too much to give away, or maybe I am learning to hear the words in the doing. Like when you come by just because I say I miss you, or how your favorite part of our lovemaking are the talks we have after, or how my favorite part is the awkward dance of the unsaid, after all the touching, pressing, kissing, and flying into each other. When we return from the Eden between us, it's like we don't know what to say, or how to admit we don't want the moment to end, or how to admit how excited we are for the next moment to begin. Like when you are not ready to say goodbye, so you say, come lock your door. And I walk you out, holding your hand, kissing your fingertips, and then your lips at the top of the stairs. And like how I am not ready to say I love you, so I say, call me when you get home.
It's just like a punch in the gut, right? A love poem.
Oh, Felice.
Oh.
Travis and Felice. It's a wonderful way to get things going, and wonderful history that you bring us. So it's my pleasure now to introduce Irwin, who is passionate about music and poetry. We met in a poetry class with Josh Mahegan, who I'm like watching over there, and now I'm like really nervous when it comes to be my turn. Thank you for coming, Josh. And we reconnected this fall, and I learned that Aaron likes to put poetry and music together. And I was like, oh, well, that's perfect for this gathering. So, as an accomplished musician and composer, he blends classical, contemporary jazz, and folk influences to create evocative, nuanced soundscapes. In addition to his own groups, he has performed with leading jazz and pop musicians and on Broadway. He's released 7 albums of original music, with one that's coming out in the spring. And I don't know, did you bring any CDs?
I forgot to bring this.
Okay. But you can, you can talk to him, and he's got a website and you can get his CDs. He's also a dedicated educator of our next generation of musicians, and I'm very grateful for his enthusiastic and generous collaboration today. Welcome, Irwin and his trio.
Thank you, Kate. So we're going to play 3 pieces with that will be set to poetry. The first piece is a piece called Frederick Douglass, and it is set to the Robert Hayden poem entitled Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass. When it is finally ours, this freedom, this liberty, this beautiful and terrible thing, this needful to man as air, usable as earth. When it belongs at last to all, when it is truly instinct, brain matter, diastole, systole, reflex action, when it is finally one, when it is more than the gaudy mumbo-jumbo of politicians. This man, this Douglass, this former slave, this Negro beaten to his knees, exiled, visioning a world where none is lonely, none hunted, alien, this man, superb in love and logic, this man shall be remembered. Oh, not with statues' rhetoric, not with legends and poems and wreaths of bronze alone, but with the lives grown out of his life, the lives fleshing his dream of the beautiful, needful thing. So I'm a little intimidated because the author of this poem is standing before me, and I'm hoping he'll be forgiving of my... I'll do my best. This is entitled The Hill. It's by Josh Mahegan. The Hill. On the crowded hill bordering the mill, across the shallow stream, nearer than they seem, they wait and will be waiting. Rain, the small smilax is the same to the fly as the big bush of lilacs exploding nearby. The rain may be abating. On the quiet hill beside the droning mill, across the dirty stream, nearer than they seem, they wait and will be waiting. The glass-eyed cicada drones in the linden, draped like a tent above 3 polished stones. Aphids swarm at the scent of the yellow petals. A bird comes to prod a clump of wet fur. The ferns idiotically nod when she takes it away with her. Something somewhere settles. On the crowded hill bordering the mill is our best cemetery. Pretty, but not very. All are welcome here. Sun finds a bare teak box on the tiny green plot. It finds lichen-crusted blocks fringed with forget-me-not. Angels green everywhere. On the crowded hill bordering the mill is our best cemetery. Pretty, but not very. All are welcome here. So the last one is an Abraham Lincoln themed poem of mine, actually, called The Rail Splitter. The Rail Splitter. That's enough now, he heard his father call outside the cabin door. The boy let go a sigh and closed the book. Breaking the spell, he slid his 2 bare feet inside the cold breeches laid strewn about the hard dirt floor, then hefting the belly of the axe upon his scrawny frame, he lighted from the room. The morning sun turned mean by afternoon, and each mind-numbing swing would drive his thoughts back to the pre-dawn cool, back to the lion, the bear, the fox, the farmer and his sons, and back again to the wolf, the kid, and the goat, when from beneath his heel a thumping hulk of red oak lifted upwards, bursting his lips. And when the bullet left the assassin's gun, the sound that split the air was like the axe. Again he was the boy of 10 years old who stood in summer's heat while Aesop's words chimed like church bells. Nothing is worth so much as liberty. And on the tongue the taste of salt and iron began again to rise.
So it is my honor to introduce the next poet, who I met when I was working at St. Francis College in downtown Brooklyn. Katie Ann Turner was one of my mentees in the MFA program. I think one of the amazing things about being a teacher is having students who are teaching you at the same time that you're in conversation with them, and she absolutely was one of those students. She's since graduated, is fully formed in the world. Now the official stuff. Katie Ann Turner is a poet and songwriter and an amazing singer, who's not in here, from Austin, Texas, currently living in Brooklyn, a storyteller at heart. Turner explores themes of queer identity and love while reconciling with their religious upbringing. A former pastor's kid, Turner still looks for God every day, and they keep finding her in music, poetry, and their community. Please welcome Katie Ann Turner to the stage.
Hi, thank you so much. So all of the poems that I'll be reading for you today are the same form. They are Golden Shovels, which was a form originally made by Lucille Clifton, which you introduced me to that poem initially, and Terrence Hayes kind of popularized the form. But so the title of each poem is a Bible verse. So I'll read the Bible verse, which is baked into each poem, and then I will commit blasphemy and read them here. Ephesians 6:2. Honor your mother and father. You are standing trial for not calling home, for staying away. Your honor, I plead too busy, you say, which is neither a lie nor the truth. Your job and your rent mostly eat you up, but how do you tell your mother that you are mothering yourself now? And you're not mad at them really, but these days God is not God, and your father is more like a living list of chores than your father. Revelations 1:18. I am the living one. I was dead, but look, I am alive forever. I have power over death and hell. To the last man I tried to love, I am happy for you and your wife, and I am happier it's not me. The life you saw for us never could have been, and for that I am sorry. I tried to see it, tried living with you in that skin-soaked dream. The life we shared in one blink was all mortgage and babies and hating myself. Even with my eyes closed, the I do turned to ash under my tongue. The first time we had sex was surprisingly fantastic. You loved me until I thought that doubt was dead. But every moment on our feet, in your car, every time you would look at me, I was pretending to be the great I am of your desire. You would look at me and come alive, the future burning in your eyes, and I would play with your hair as if forever were tucked there in the nape of your neck. I was raised to believe I have the power to wrap my legs around a boy like you and watch him bloom to man overnight. But the truth is that I saw the death of us in your sleeping face every time we lay together. The truth is I wanted more, and I hated myself for it at first. But now I know forcing myself to love you would have kept us both in hell. John 4:24. God is spirit, and his worshipers must worship in the spirit and in truth. My first memory of love belongs to a God I cannot believe in anymore. I think this is why loving myself is an act of war most days. At my lowest, my spirit clings to this jealous love, and I can hear him say, "You will never be enough." His voice sounds like worshipers who throw stones through library windows. I tell myself this Father God must hate me to try and love me in this way, but I think he's afraid of me. I think if I worship on my own, I'll sing until I turn angel with an eye on every inch of skin. I may see the divine in all things, and he can't have that. This would unravel the sins of heaven. The Holy Spirit needs its shadow, otherwise, love and hate become too easily distinguished. Otherwise, I may find love in a book that I write. I may accept the fate of infinite truth. This next poem has some explicit language. I know there are some little ears in here, so. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers, sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think of such things. He is taking me to sushi, finally. On our date, he asks me how many brothers I have. That's one of two questions he asks me. He talks all through dinner. The eldest of two sisters, 41, an executive at an oil company, newly divorced. He's been reading about military history, whatever. He tells me how refreshing it is to speak with a young girl who can keep up, and it's true, I am clever for 19. He buys us a bottle of whatever costs the most. They don't card me. The lady at the table next to us stares as I touch his hand. He is a bit awkward. He's never done this before. Me neither. He is noble. So the first thing he does when we get to the hotel room is check whatever ID I have. This is when I start to get nervous, and I laugh when I'm nervous. And I know what I'm doing isn't right, which turns me on, so I laugh at whatever he says and excuse myself to the bathroom. Before I go, he tells me he lied online. His real name is Daniel, my father's name. I tell him Daniel is Hebrew, for God is my judge. I tell him my name means pure, and it is his turn to laugh. The way he stares at my mouth tells me he'll pay whatever I ask. In the bathroom, I turn on the tub faucet and wash my feet with scalding water. He is surprised when I come out naked. I go to him, hands behind my back, and he whispers, "Lovely." He pins me to the wall, takes my face gently in his hands, and I name a price before he does whatever he wants and more. I lose count of my orgasms by midnight. He tells me my pain tolerance is admirable, asks me if I'm sure I've never done anything like this before. I decide now is not the time for truth, so I take him in my mouth like the most excellent beginner. He calls me a good girl, and my whole body moans. I am not good or pure or honest, but he knows I am praiseworthy, and for that, I let him worship me violently until we see the sun. Just when I think I can't take any more, he falls asleep on my bruised chest. I stroke his hair, wonder if he's dreaming of his ex-wife, who I bet he really loved. I thank God for giving me such a kind man to pay for my sins. I do not repent. I do not sleep. I slip away and go through his things. Leviticus 18:22. Do not have sexual relations with a man as one does a woman. That is detestable. Of all the things my lover and I do, the way we fight is best. Not a broken glass or promise to be found. I have never felt an embrace so close, yet so free of sexual transaction. We bear family relations for what they are, scars. We know healing is not conjured with a kiss, a touch, a rush of blood, so when we fight, we take care. A fight with my lover takes so much time, but they are more precious than that. A man once trapped me in a bathroom stall, told me I wasn't as queer as I thought. Give me one night to turn you back, he said. A counselor once asked, does the violence you have faced from men make you think you could only love a woman? Had I known myself better, I would have told her that I would rather fight for 40 days and nights with a lover who is, like God, above our game of gender than ever pretend to love again. That would be detestable. Thank you. This is my last one, and it's called John 3:17. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world. I have been angry with religion for so long, I almost forgot that God is not to blame. They did not mold me into a hypocrite. They did not send me here for a reason. They did not assign my father his demons. They did not make my father's firstborn son gay to teach them both a lesson. They did not put unwavering faith into my mother to watch her suffer as the people so against this world forced her purity and punished her softness. God is to me what water is to gravity. The rain never asked to fall. The ocean never asked to house such crushing depths. Condemn me if you will, but if everlasting life exists, it is more curse than gift. This world will not steal our soul. But I know it's easier to tip back the glass and swallow than it is to face our reflection at night. It is easier to save ourselves the pain of waking up. But the waking is not evil. Neither are we. Neither is the world.
Another round of applause for Katie. So our last reader for the evening is the actual reason we are all here. It is my pleasure to introduce Kate Gardner. I met Kate at the library when I was working at the Brooklyn Public Library. We were introduced by the Director of Development because of our shared love of theater. And then during the pandemic, I got an email from her and she was like, do you want to take a walk in the Brooklyn Botanical Garden? I've lived in Brooklyn for 20 years and no one has ever asked me to walk in the garden and I've never done it. And so we just started taking these lovely walks while like all of New York was locked down. And she was like just the most amazing, generous, kind-hearted person with a lot of knowledge of plants and birds and a deep, deep love of poetry. And so we would go on these walks and talk about poetry. And so thank you, Kate, for bringing us all together. Read the official bio now. Kate Gardner tells tales of odd romance and unlikely adventure. Her work has appeared in Acting Together, She/He Speaks, Wings of Wonder, and at the Brooklyn Public Library. She is the founder of the Community Theater International. She spearheaded Brook Kenya, an intercontinental grassroots soap opera with residents of New York City and Kisumu, Kenya. Please welcome Kate Gardner to the stage.
Guitar Road. I I once drove the treacherous turns of the Camino Guitarro in the Cordillera Central. Beside me, you hummed summer memories of climbing flamboyant trees and eating mangoes off the ground. You stared into the canyon as I wrangled the car past one small white cross after another. When we reached your mother's hometown, at the end of Guitar Road, you commanded me to pull over. You bought us canapes from a truck and gave me the reward of biting through brittle green husks and sucking out the pulp, the pleasure of that warm wine mixing with my cold panic. We visited the house where your dead mother survived the colonial cruelties of your grandfather, only to pass them on to you. Lacing you with beatings and scars of kneeling on rice to pray penance for the sin of being her firstborn daughter. We were best friends, compañeras in arms against the cutting world. You called me Mija and tried to teach this small-town Pennsylvania girl the South Bronx skill of how to hold her corner. I never could stand up to you, folding under punishments for crimes I could not fathom. For 20 years, I navigated edges of the Guitar Road, till one day you got out of our car and never returned. For another 20, I persisted in the habit of warping myself on the perverse bends of everyone I ever loved. It's time to bite through the thin husk of fear to that bittersweet wine. Done that before, and this was the first time. It was such an honor. So this next poem is after Sky Woman, which is the sacred creation story of the original peoples who lived throughout the Great Lakes, as shared by Robin Wall Kimmerer in her wonderful book, Braiding Sweetgrass. Called Pregnant with That Which Is Not Yet Present. There is no Adam, no shameful Eve, no god or goddess, just a woman falling from the sky between worlds through a void. Geese fly up to catch her on primordial wings, and she is lowered onto a flooded planet, lowered onto Turtle's back. The water animals swim down in search of fabled dirt. Otter, beaver, sturgeon, loon, returning one after another, gasping without it. Little muskrat, surely inadequate, waves and dives in face of doubt, too long after floating up in a stream of bubbles, one tiny drowned paw clutching a dab of mud. The woman smears the muck on Turtle's shell, dances the dance of making, thanks those who saved her, creates land with caressing feet, seeds our meadows and forest, peoples earth with the fullness of her womb. Now we fall between worlds through a void not empty. And we wonder, will there be geese? This is a love poem to our city, to this crazy city. It's called On My Way to a Party, New York, 1983. Some of us remember. The city then, lurid with dirt and danger, cracked hacker of miracles. Christmas Eve in the subway, Christopher Street station, amid din of decayed trains, clamor of exuberant graffiti, and sick-at-heart stench of homeless urine. A man sings Silent Night, Holy Night, playing bass on an overturned washtub rigged with broomstick and one cotton string. A kneeling boy swishes drum brushes on the bucket bottom. 5 stops away, Wall Street bellows out billions that won't make it to the coffers of this church, where glories stream from heaven afar across stained tile walls. Putting my meager gift in the jar, I am shepherded into grace. So I was in a poetry class in October, and the teacher asked us, what is the role of the poet in difficult times? I don't know that there's an answer for that, but there are responses. I think this is one. And this poem that I wrote is another. A fault line. I can only write of small things, of a moment on the subway that seems impossible now. 2 women bent close, one with an Orthodox wig, the other with a hijab, one explaining to the other how to get from here to there, in an intricate conversation of nuance and patience, picking their way through Hebrew, Arabic, and bits of English scavenged from sidewalks and corner delis. I can only write of small things, of a spider on the fire escape, her quivering web of fragile architecture stronger than steel, but spun so very thin. A place of rupture and repair. So that last line actually came from a conversation that I had with Felice as we were
She
talking
does
about
that.
this. And you never know where things are going to come from or end up. Thank you, Felice. And I am, oh, there we go. So this is my last poem. It is also a love poem. This one, this one was written in your class, Josh McKeegan, that Aaron and I met in. Wonderful class, amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And it's a love poem from my wife, Carol, who's been at my side for 25 years. Goddess is the title. I almost loathed that lamp. Gift from my father-in-law, who excelled in interior demolition of buildings and his children. For 24 years, despite my wife adoring both lamp and father, I held a secret wish to purge his found antique sporting a porcelain dragon-riding samurai, cheap made for gaudy Western eyes in a Japan pried loose by 19th century US battleship diplomacy. It almost happened once, when we were short 10 grand to buy our place. Convinced it was the missing money, she lugged it to a dealer and haggled him against his better judgment up to $350. And so back home, the treasure came. How is it, without warning today, scales fell from my eyes? He, or is it she? Face refined and pale, exquisite fingers folded over sword, robe exposing bustless chest. Upon a green and growling creature serenely sits. How did I miss the third eye bump? Ears stretched long to hear our worldly cries. A sutra scroll of wisdom hung upon a sword to be swung by a sacred warrior against illusion. How did I miss the signs of someone on their way to Buddhahood? Of someone who could step into nirvana, of someone who instead remains to soothe our earthly suffering. A bodhisattva in our living room. O most beloved canon, seated on a shishi lion, fiercely guarding us from demons inside and out, Lord of compassion, Goddess of mercy, forgive me for missing skillful brush details of perfect lips and eyes, of small red swirls on draping cloth, of green that never splashes onto furry stars, of faithful toil by a long-dead craftsman or craftswoman in one of many factories, squinting through reading glasses, painting, and praying for salvation. After the aborted sale of our beatific lamp, my father-in-law received a windfall of $10,000 and put the gift into his daughter's hand. Who am I not to offer that man a prayer? I who have been so blind to love. This candle with us as we move forward in a world of beauty and difficulty. Take us with you. You don't have to leave right away. There's more music, more wine, I think even some more homemade cookies that are left. Talk to us, talk to each other, and thank you so much for gathering with us. Last hand for our talented poets.